Hey everybody out there in the YouTube universe, Deceptive Soul here with you once again. It's just a video response to SPACKlick's video on is he a homophobe? His first question was about whether or not he is homophobic himself. Just by the general feeling of uncomfortable, or the general uncomfortable feelings he feels around these friends of his who are in fact gay. And I don't think you can make that assumption that you have homophobic tendencies just because you feel uncomfortable around things like that. I mean, we feel uncomfortable around several things. There's awkwardness and uncomfortable circumstances that plague our everyday lives, not just homophobic feelings. I think that anything that's out of the norm or anything that makes us question things so strongly, it can fall into this category. And I don't think that just because you have such strong feelings one way or the other can generally classify you as a homophobe. Essentially, as a society, we are generally homophobic because it is out of the norm as of yet. On a general consensus of how many people there are that are gay and how many people that are straight, it is, I guess, deemed, I don't want to say socially unacceptable, but I want to say socially awkward. When you see two guys holding hands, it's something to look at and something to question, but it's not something that you would be up against. I mean, if you say that because my friends are homophobic, I'm not going to hang out with them, or I'm not going to associate myself with them, then maybe you are going on to the tendencies of homophobia. Maybe you are going to be, or maybe you do have a tendency of being a little homophobic. And I'm not saying that's wrong, I'm not saying that's right, but it's just essentially who you are and how you feel about the situation. But if, like you said, they're your friends, then I think you've already made that choice that it doesn't bother you so much that you exclude them from your life. And I do have to agree with you that I'm not quite sure if it is the right label or the appropriate label, given the severities of difference of definition, I suppose. When something can veer off from, like you said, hatred to quite easily just being a little bit queasy or uncomfortable around them, that's too big of a difference to classify under the same general title. So I do agree with you on that one, that it's too broad a term. Now your second point touched on the topic of gay adoption rights, and I think the way you're looking at it is quite skewed, unfortunately. Looking at it as a case of test subjects. I don't know if that was your point, or your opinion, or your devil's advocate friend's point on that. But the thing of it is you're not gambling with their lives. You're not gambling with their lives any more than you'd be gambling with their lives with me having a kid. Just because I'm straight and I'm gonna marry a woman one day, it has no relevance on how I'm gonna raise my children, how they're gonna turn out, and how they're gonna develop. I mean, what difference does it make if two men or two women raise a child? It is a tough subject, but I mean, the kids are gonna grow up, and if anything, they're gonna be better for it. They're gonna see that it's all right for two beings of the same sex to love each other and to have that love. And if it is a loving family, and if they do love each other enough, and they do not become a broken home, like so many other families have become, like mine. Like, I didn't know my dad since I was 2. We're all going to experience dilemmas in our life, regardless of the sexual nature of our parents. I guess you're going on the point that being in a gay household with parents that are gay would kind of predisposition you to be gay yourself. I mean, when you look at the fact that I find women physically attractive as opposed to my buddies, I don't look at them and go like, oh yeah, you know, it's something that we choose, and we all have our own feelings on the matter, and they all develop regardless of our parents. Like, regardless of be parent neglect or over-parent stimulus. I mean, there's so many different things that could happen to these children in their lifetime, from when they're 1 to 18, or however long you want to classify it as. There's way too many things or factors in life that could happen to them that would persuade them either way. If anything, like I said, I think it would be beneficial for them, or for a new generation, to see that homosexuality is not a bad thing, that it can be acceptable, and it can work, and it can be right, right in society's eyes at least. Now, your third topic goes on to whether homosexuality is natural or based on nature. I think that the only reason this was ever really a big issue is when they brought it up, it became more of a, if it's genetic, we can fix it kind of thing. And that seems kind of disgusting to me. I mean, because it's something that we don't agree with, we're supposed to fix it. I don't know. It doesn't jive with me. The point of whether it's wrong based on the harm it causes. And I have never seen any harm due to this that is not stemmed from people's general hate towards it. People gay bashing, people murdering because of a lifestyle choice, as you put it, that these people make. And that is the only general harm I've ever seen become of this. I think the main problem with, at least in the States and in Canada, is religion trying to enforce laws. I mean, the strongest argument, at least, is that in the Bible, men were not supposed to marry men. Marriage constituted a man and a woman being married, and I think that's complete horseshit. To bring this is such an old argument. Just to bring the church into legal affairs like that is just, it's unacceptable by all means and regulations. I mean, to have someone's opinion come out in law where it's not a social choice, it's not a democratic choice, it's not something that we voted on or anything like that, it's just because it's wrong. And the classification of wrong and the meaning of wrong comes from these Christians and these people that are so hell-bent that this is going to be the end of civilization as we know. People have to become more tolerant, and not more tolerant, because tolerance is just something that I can be tolerant to loud noise at night when I'm trying to sleep. I mean, that's an ignorant statement in itself, to be tolerant of gays. I mean, we have to accept that not everyone's the same. I mean, it's been such a hard case through human history to accept people that are different from us. And it's why we wage wars, it's why people murder each other, and, well, it's not the only reason people murder each other, but I mean, it causes way more harm than it does good. And until the time that we see it as acceptable rather than just tolerate it, I don't think there's ever going to be a big enough change in the social or cultural status or to make a difference. It's the harm that we do, or that we cause in our decisions, both politically and socially, that harms homosexuals and people of that nature. So if anyone should be blamed, it should be us.